What can I say? The 2024 Philadelphia Eagles continue to amaze, to continue to delight myself and all of Philadelphia Eagle fans across the world, even though uh, continue even though we run out of adjectives to use to describe them, we continue to use the same ones. This past Sunday against the Los Angeles Rams was an absolute masterpiece, particularly from one guy. And we all know who he is. Number 26, Saquon Barkley. What a game. What a year he's having. He's I really don't know what to say at this point. Saquon Barkley, he is, in my opinion, he's probably one of the five. In fact, I'll say right now, I'll say he's one of the three best players in the National Football League. He's if voting were to end or if the season were to end today, he would get my vote. He would get my choice for league MVP. He's been that good. This past Sunday against the Rams was an absolute masterclass in how to play running back in the NFL. He was sensational. I mean, I 302 total yards, five or excuse me, 255 yards rushing, another 47 receiving, two 70-yard touchdowns, not one, but two 70-yard touchdowns. Man is capable of taking over an entire game by himself. Saquon Barkley, I saw a graphic somewhere. I'm just going to see if I can find it real quick. But it was Saquon Barkley had more yards by himself, all right? Not the Eagles team. Saquon Barkley by himself had more yards. Okay, here it is right here. Saquon Barkley had 302 yards from scrimmage by himself. All right. He was responsible for 302 of the Eagles' total yards. That was more than the 49ers, who had 241 yards of offense, the Patriots, who had 269 total yards of offense, the Colts, who had 268 yards of total offense, the Seahawks, who had 285 total yards, the Cardinals, who had 298 total yards, his opponent, the Los Angeles Rams, who had 290 total yards, the Houston Texans, who had 260 yards of total offense, and of course, his former squad, the Giants, who had 245 yards of offense. Saquon Barkley is the league MVP as it stands right now. There's no question about that. There's no question that his presence on the Eagles has really been night and day in how the rest of the team has played this year. This is what I think a lot of people envisioned when Saquon Barkley came into the NFL because he was a stud at Penn State. He was a stud at Penn State, and we saw flashes of how good he can be in a couple of years, in various years that he was on the Giants. But now he has a legitimate football team around him. He has a legitimate football team. He has a top tier quarterback. He has playmakers that are around him so that he doesn't have to be the sole focus, so that he doesn't have to be the primary responsibility on other teams' game plans, and he has an offensive line. He has arguably the best offensive line in football. That offensive line, if just to give show them some love real quick. Offensive line has been absolutely unbelievable. Since Jason Kelce retired last year, they haven't lost a step. Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, Tyler Steen, Lane Johnson, they are the five best offensive linemen in football, bar none. And they are consistently paving holes for Saquon Barkley to run through, and Saquon Barkley is running through those holes like 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 nobody's business. That's a corny term to use, but I really don't have any other way to describe it. And Saquon Barkley is having such a good right now at the pace he's going. He's on track to break Eric Dickerson's rushing record, 2,100 yards. He said however many years ago. I think it's 2105, 2,105 yards. Saquon Barkley has 1,400 rushing yards through 12 games. 1,392 to be exact, but it might as well be 1,400. It's 1,400. He has, and he's really showing no signs of of slowing down. Clearly, right now, the record is within reach for him to get. We have 7 games left, right? 7, 13, 14, 8. Oh, okay, so six games left on the schedule. He needs pretty much 700 yards and some change to get it. He can easily get that. He can easily get that. The way he's playing right now, he might have he might have the record by by Christmas. That's how good he's playing. He might have the record before you know before you know season before the year's over. He might not need 5 games or 6 games to break the record because the way he's playing, teams can't stop him, and he's breaking off long runs left and right, and it's unbelievable to see. And the way he's playing, it takes so much pressure off the other players. It takes so much pressure off the other players. Jalen Hurts, he's played some of the cleanest football that I've seen him play throughout his time here. That goes back to the Super Bowl season. Jalen Hurts, he was great that year, but Jalen Hurts, with all due respect to some of the running backs that he's played with, they're not Saquon Barkley. All right, they just aren't. Miles Sanders, he's not Saquon Barkley. DeAndre Swift last year, he's not Saquon Barkley. They're good running backs in their own rights, but they don't give you the home run hitting, explosive splash plays that Saquon Barkley does. And teams know it's coming. Like I said before, teams know that we're going to hand the ball off to Saquon, but we have such a powerful offensive line. Cam Jurgens and Landon Dickerson are they're 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 both. You're going to be hearing their name in the Pro Bowl a lot for the next 10 to 12 years. Cam Jurgens. I couldn't think of a better replacement for Jason Kelce than him. Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson. Lane Johnson's been here forever, and he's still holding up that right side. Jordan Mailata, he's probably one of the 3 or 4 best blindside tackles in football. Even though I did see him get lit up by Jared Verse on Sunday, but I mean, you play offensive line, it's going to happen at some point. Someone's gonna get in your chest. Someone's gonna put you on your back, and that's just life of playing professional sports. Great shot blockers get dunked on. Great pitchers get shown up and hit home runs on. great block, great linemen in football. They're 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 going to get steamrolled. It happens. Nevertheless, it doesn't take away from the fact of how good these guys are. Saquon Barkley, man, he's the league MVP until further notice. And I know a couple of guys are getting consideration out there. Derrick Henry, who I'm going to talk about in just a minute, he's getting MVP talk, MVP chatter. Josh Allen, he's playing really well. Jamar Chase, who probably won't he'll probably get maybe a sentence or two about being talked about for MVP, but he's having a great year in spite of the Bengals' terrible record. But man, it's for me, it's got to be Saquon Barkley, unless he absolutely falls off a cliff, unless he just totally nosedives this last month of the season, this last month or so, unless he just save for some kind of injury or it was just ineffective play, that man is going to win the MVP, and it's going to be he's going to 100% deserve it. But knowing the bias that people have against Philly, wouldn't be surprised if they find some reason, some stupid reason to not give it to him. They don't like giving Philadelphia athletes awards. They just about a week or so ago they just snubbed Zach Wheeler of what I thought he should have been the Cy Young Award winner, but they gave it to Chris Sale, the Braves. So Philadelphia athletes, they have to do some pretty special stuff to be considered for awards. But if Saquon Barkley, if he wins the rushing title, um, or well, yeah, the rushing title this year, if he wins the rushing title, which he's very capable of doing at this point, because I think he overtook Derrick Henry. He's leading him by about 60 or 70 yards or so, and he breaks Eric Dickerson's record. I think you got to give it to him. You got to give it to him. And again, the defense, the defense, every week they face a challenge, and every week these guys respond. Quinyon Mitchell locked down Puka Nakua and Cooper Kupp when they lined up across from him. Quinyon Mitchell, week by week, is becoming the best defensive player on the Eagles. Not just the best cornerback, the best player. And we've got a lot of guys who can make that case for best player on the team. Jalen Carter, Zach Bond, all right. Um, other guys are stepping into their roles. Um, Reed Blankenship, he's been playing well. The Kobe Dean, who is blossoming the um into the not just the enforcer of the group, but he's blossoming into the leader. He had a sack on Matthew Stafford uh, last week, where the running back, I think it was Kyren Williams. He just puts Kyren Williams on his back. He didn't walk Kyren Williams into Matthew Stafford's lap. He shoved him, Matthew Stafford, and he just completely blew up the play. Nakobe Dean in year 3 is he is the heart and soul of the defense, and he brings an edge to him, and that's what we haven't had in some time on our defense. Guys who have that edge, guys who have that nasty temperament. Nakobe Dean has it. Jordan Davis had, or excuse me, Jalen Carter has it. And if Jordan Davis, if he can just develop that kind of um, style that kind of temperament to his game. Jordan Davis, that kind of Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter lined up on the interior next to each other. Game over. Game over. Because it's going to take, you're going to have to commit at least, at the very minimum, you're going to have to commit three guys to block. Because Jalen Carter is quickly becoming a game wrecker right before our very eyes. It's beautiful to see. It's beautiful to see. And Nolan Smith, you know, we were starting to lose some patience with him because he wasn't showing up. Now Nolan Smith is finally starting to win his one-on-one matchups, and he's starting to get in on that on the pass rushing act too. So it's nice to see the defense coming together and playing well. But this Quinyon Mitchell, he should be the leading candidate for defensive rookie of the year. Stats aren't going to agree with it, but nobody's throwing it to him. He is quickly rising up the ranks of the most of I won't say the most, but he's becoming a guy that nobody wants to throw to. And this week, you add two more um you add two more uh, inmates to the Quintanamo Bay, Cooper Cup and Puka Nakua. The Rams scored a touchdown on that in garbage time toward the end of the game, but in looking at it, um, the touchdown it wasn't really charged to Quinyon because he was apparently supposed to have help from the safety, um, and that's really where Cooper. So it was supposed to be bracketing him or not bracketing, but a single high safety. I think, and Cooper just on it. But even still, Quinyon Mitchell, a money addition to our football team. But there was also a somber ending to the game, and that was the loss of Brandon Graham. Man, that sucks, man. That sucks. I talk about guys like Quinyon Mitchell and Jalen Carter and Cooper DeJean and so many up and coming faces of on our defense who have been playing well. Brandon Graham, he was playing about as well as anybody. At 36 years old, Brandon Graham was playing about as well as anybody on our defense, and he was showing it again on Sunday. He was playing, you know, he was playing so well, and um, to see him suffer that injury with his torn tricep and his elbow, I think, you know, I didn't want to let it put a damper on the game, on the victory, but mm, that hurt. And then to hear him talk about it on the I was listening to WIP earlier, and then I saw the video of him talking on the radio show, and he got really emotional. It was because Brandon Graham, as well as he was playing, he is 36 years old. He'll be 37 before next season, or he'll be 37 during the off season, and you know he had talked a lot about whether or not this was going to be his last year, and it could very well be. And I always say that he had the most memorable and most important sack in Philadelphia Eagles history, the sack of Tom Brady in the Super Bowl that essentially wrapped up that victory. And to see him go out the way he did while he was still showing that he can still play at a high level, it just and I know that they're that that he's going to be there on the sidelines. He's going to be coaching the guys up. He's going to be talking. He's going to be, you know, in people's ears, kind of like a sideline cheerleader. But it's you miss his presence. It just won't be the same. I'm not having him. The Eagles, they're already scrambling to try and replace him. I think that I don't believe that it'll be one guy who takes his place totally. They're probably going to have um, they're probably going to do it by committee. But this is where we need guys like Nolan Smith to step up. This is where we need guys, like Bryce Huff, who's on IR. I forgot he even played for us. I didn't even know he had a stat sheet. I didn't know he had a game log because he's been MIA for mostly all of the season. So when slash if he ever comes back to play, um, you know, everyone's going to have to step in and try and fill that huge void that's on the right side of our defense. So that was really the only damper on our game this past week. But we won the game 9-2, guaranteed a winning season now, and let's keep the good times rolling. Let's keep the good times rolling. And the schedule actually shapes up for us pretty good. It shapes up for us so good that we could we could we have a chance to go 15-2. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility with the way we're playing. I mean, we still have something to play for. The Lions are 10-1, but we're right on their heels. We're right on their heels. That one seed is still in play. Now, I've said before that I don't think the one seed or having the top seed in your playoffs is kind of overrated. I don't think it's not important. I mean, it's great to have, but you got to be hitting on all cylinders when it's time for you to play. If the one seed is still in play, great. Let's try and go for it. Let's just have the playoffs run through Philly. I'm here for it. Got to be playing well when that time comes. But we still have a lot to play for, man. And let's keep it going. I'm here for it. Let's keep it going. Our next opponent, the Ravens, that's going to be a good game. I think it could be a potential Super Bowl preview. I mean, two dynamic quarterbacks, two dynamic running games. I think our defense right now is better than the Ravens, but the Ravens they don't have a terrible defense. I mean, they stink against the pass, but they've got some guys on that side. Um, Roquan Smith, got Marlon Humphrey, um, Kyle Hamilton. They've got guys who can play on that defense. Obviously, the guy that you have to focus on first and foremost is Lamar Jackson because he can take over a game, throwing the ball and running it. He's still a dynamic weapon. Then not only that, but you have Derrick Henry who rivals Saquon Barkley for that title of running back in the league. This past Monday, the Ravens won their game this past Monday. That was the first time all year that Derrick Henry did not score in a game. That was the first time. So, um, we're going to have our work cut out for us, but I think we can do it. I think we can do it. It's going to be a real interesting game. Um, I'm looking forward to see how we respond to that challenge. Um, and it's late game too, so that means that everyone's going to be watching. I think it's a Super Bowl preview. I would love to see the Eagles, Ravens in the Super Bowl. It would be such a it would be such an intriguing storyline. There would be so many plots and subplots to that game. But first things first. And also, we've never won in Baltimore before, to my recollection. Each time we play the Ravens, I feel like we're always losing. We're always getting trounced. So I don't think we have ever won in Baltimore. So it's going to be hopefully uh, a first for us. A couple weeks ago, until a couple weeks ago we had never won in Cincinnati, and we see how that turned out. We go into Cincinnati, we destroy them. I don't think that will be close. I think that this game will be a lot closer. I mean, I would love a to be able to destroy them, but I don't think that will happen. But I do think that we are more than capable of beating the Ravens. Man, this is going to be a really good game. This is probably going to be one of the marquee games of maybe of the season because of what's at stake, because of who's playing in the game and how well both teams playing at this point in the time. I'm looking forward to it. Some people might be scared, they might be anxious, they might be nervous about the game. Look, you don't get to see how good of a team you are until you play someone else as good as you are. And even though the Ravens have a few more losses than we do, they're still a very good football team. They've got guys who can take over the game if you're not careful. So it's going to be a good game. I'm looking forward to it. We're going to try to keep this thing rolling, get up to 10-2, and give us some momentum as we head down the stretch as we go into the month of December. That's crazy to think about. It seems like the season just started. It seems like we were just talking about what can we look forward to. It seems like it doesn't seem that long ago that we were still in free agency, that Jason Kelce had retired and we had signed Saquon Barkley to 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 that deal back in March. Now here we are, on the doorsteps to the month of December, talking about getting ready to talking about going on the home stretch, getting ready for the playoffs. Man, that time flies by. It really does fly by. But looking forward to it. Eagles Ravens this Sunday. Let's try and keep this good times rolling and get off to a 10-2 start.